Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be reacting to a video that looks quite shocking. It's called Why US Produced Eggs Are Banned Across Europe and Vice Versa. So this is a very shocking piece of news to me. It's like they're banned. I was like, well, you can't travel with eggs, right? You can't cross the Atlantic with eggs on your suitcase. So it makes sense that they're banned actually, but obviously I guess they're always referring not to you traveling in your suitcase. It's more about importing goods and services and stuff like that. But I'm guessing it has to do with the refrigeration, right? I that's what I think this is going. I don't really know why, and hopefully we're going to find out, because I've always been super curious to know why do Americans actually freeze their eggs when I don't think that's common in other places. So maybe it's going to be with the handling. I don't know, but hopefully we'll find out. So let's check it out and comment, like, and subscribe.
In the United States Department of Agriculture, or the USDA, lays out regulations for how food products should be produced and processed to ensure food safety.
Yeah.
The United States Food and Drug Administration, or the FDA on the other hand, determines the best food consumption practices to minimize health problems. Ironically, they also determine how much rat hair should be allowed in peanut butter, rat feces in your spices, and cigarette butts in your sandwich.
Okay, don't tell me those
Unless
things,
you find
please.
more than 30 insect fragments or 1 rodent hair per 100 grams of peanut butter, 9 milligrams of rodent poop per 1 kilogram of wheat, 75 mites per 100 grams of dried mushrooms, 1 maggot per 100 grams of tomato juice, and 13 insect heads every 100 grams of fig paste, the FDA expects you to compromise with this.
I have to say, I rather live in ignorance. You're telling me statistics, I rather not know. I rather never find out, because again, if you're eating, I don't know, if you find a hair in your in your food, obviously you go and say, hey, there's a hair in my food. But I think when it comes to produce, not produce, but stuff you actually are buying and at a supermarket or something, and you're actually cooking with, I think I don't want to know. Especially I think when it comes to insects and I don't know, rats. I don't know. I'm don't tell me. If it doesn't taste weird, it didn't taste weird. That's it. I'd rather not know.
Situation because, well, no food practice is perfect. Humans make mistakes. Restricting food laws will increase food prices, and bugs aren't that gross. Some of them are quite healthy. At the same time, the USDA has laid out guidelines for how commercial eggs should be produced, processed, and stored to make sure eggs remain safe for public consumption. The UK has their own regulations, but their regulations are quite opposite to those in the US, making it illegal for eggs produced in the UK to be sold in the US and those produced in the US to be sold in the UK. But if guidelines in both the cases are made for food safety and are in the public interest, why are they so contrasting to one another? Which of them is the right practice, or are both of them equally good? In the case of American eggs, the USDA requires its egg farms to properly wash and sanitize their eggs before they reach consumers in order to remove any dirt and feces on the exterior of the eggs. These contaminants are bacterial in nature and may pose a food safety threat when they enter a kitchen environment. For instance, one may crack open an egg and then proceed to prepare a sandwich with those bacteria-ridden hands. Also, eggshells are porous, so there's a possibility of microbes leaking inside the egg.
Okay, that makes
As per the regulation, eggs are washed with warm water, at least 20 degrees Fahrenheit warmer than the internal temperature of the eggs, and at a minimum of 90 degrees Fahrenheit. A detergent that won't impart any foreign odors to the eggs is also used. After washing, the eggs are rinsed with a warm water spray containing a chemical sanitizer to remove any remaining bacteria, and then are dried to remove excess moisture.
That's a lot of
Every step of this whole process is scientifically designed and must be executed with extreme care. Otherwise, this procedure can lead to more damage than good. For example, the drying of eggs is crucial because a dry eggshell acts as a barrier to bacterial intrusion, while the presence of moisture makes the shell more permeable, exposing it to a pathogen attack. Furthermore, moisture itself may act as a medium for bacterial growth, and water provides an excellent vehicle for pathogens such as salmonella.
You don't want to get that.
The right temperature of warm washing water is important because water colder than the egg could cause the contents of the egg to contract, sucking polluted water in through the shell. Results may get worse if a facility is not careful enough to regularly change the washing water and eggs are left to sit in the dirty bath. With such high risk of bacteria, if cleaned improperly, the UK and almost all of the world except the US believe that eggs should not be washed or cleaned before they're sold to consumers.
Yeah.
As far as dirty eggs are concerned, the EU's egg marketing law encourages good husbandry on farms. Because eggs can't be cleaned or washed, it's in the farmer's best interest to produce the cleanest eggs possible, as no one is going to buy their eggs if they're dirty. This may not sound too convincing to you, but there's more to it. An egg carries a thin layer of coating on its outer surface called cuticle. This layer naturally protects eggs from almost all contamination and also keeps the eggs fresh for longer periods. Washing eggs damage most of this protective layer and makes them vulnerable to contamination from pathogens and other microorganisms. In absence of washing, an egg is capable of protecting itself naturally, and if care is taken while handling the eggs, the contamination of kitchen environments can also be eliminated. True. The UK, thus, believes that a little care is better than the huge risk and cost of washing eggs.
That's what it should be.
Another thing that makes British eggs and American eggs different to one another is how they're stored. In the UK and almost everywhere in Europe, you can see eggs sitting in unrefrigerated shelves of supermarkets.
Wait, what?
The EU regulations stipulates that eggs should in general not be refrigerated before selling to the final consumer.
But why?
Chilled eggs, when left outside at room temperature during transit between the supermarket and the customer's home, may sweat and form moisture on its surface, facilitating the growth of bacteria and probably their ingression into the egg. The American system, on the other hand, instructs its seller to refrigerate eggs under 40 degrees Fahrenheit in order to decrease the risk of salmonella. Because of all of these differences in how eggs are processed and stored in the two nations, British eggs are significantly richer in taste. But how would you know? British eggs can't be sold in the US, and the US ones in the UK.
That's a really good point. I would think like it tastes better just because it's natural. That's what I would say. I would argue it's natural, so it tastes better, and that's why the eggs are like fresher. I don't know. You can argue this. Again, it's a thing about, I think it reminds me a little bit of like people that wash their chicken. I think there are some like, it's like that. There are some people that are like, no, you should definitely wash your chicken before cooking it. And there's other people that are like, absolutely not, because if you wash it, you actually are like, you're more at risk of like cross-contaminating something else. And I think you can also get salmonella from chicken, right? I don't know, from raw chicken. I'm a little unclear on that, but it is, I think it's similar in the sense of like, yes, I can see the both things. And I think it's an American thing. They do love to wash everything. So they wash their chicken, they wash their eggs, they wash everything. And I think in Europe, again, with the specific case scenario of like the UK, they don't really care. Like, yes, they're expecting for like the farmers and whatever's in charge of the product, of the final product that's getting to you, that they're practicing like good hygiene practice and they have like a good system and they're trusting on them. And obviously you as a consumer, that you're going to be careful as well. So it is, I think, better to me. I don't know. I think it's like the refrigerating the eggs is always a little bit weird to me, because it's like, if there are other places that can have them like just, outside in the shelf, how come you guys do not? I think that's actually creating like the opposite. Like, I think it's like more people are going to be like, oh no, it's more secure that way. Like, I feel safer if I'm buying, an egg that came from the fridge. I'm like, I actually think it's the opposite for the reasons that they already mentioned. It's like, I think it's more natural, because the egg, it's a little bit unnatural to put the egg on the fridge. And it's like, yes, you have to put it in the fridge. Why do you have to put it in the fridge? Why do they need to be refrigerated? Because you wash them. So if you get rid of the washing completely, as in like this whole situation of like, there's a chemical and they do water and then they dry, like there's just like a bunch of things. It's like, wouldn't it just be easier to just like tell the farmer, please clean your egg as much as you can, and that's it? Like, I think it's better just because it's more, again, it's less produced in a way. I think it's less, I don't know if produce is the right word, simpler, maybe. I think it would be organic. That could be the right term. It's more organic. And to me, it's like, again, I'm with this with the raw chicken debate. I'm like, yes, you're not gonna have like a raw chicken just contaminating your kitchen. And even though people are like, no, because you use like a special coating board for the chicken and for meats, and you have to be careful, you can do it in the fridge and stuff. I'm like, wouldn't it just be easier to just not wash it and just cook it like a normal person, because you're never going to eat raw chicken? But some people are so unaware. They're like, it's dirty. It's like, the chicken's not dirty. Like, it's coming to you and it's already clean. Like, the farmers, we don't live in the 1800s or something with like, oh, this is what he had. And they give you like, I don't know how things were back in the day, but I imagine it was like a similar process of like, wow, I'm getting like, they're giving you an egg and it's completely dirty. It's like, no, of course not, because we already moved past that. It's the future. So we don't, the farmers and whatever person's in charge, they take care of cleaning their stuff without doing anything harmful to them and using harmful or other chemicals. So I think like if the UK can do it, and what I would think most countries actually do so, I don't really understand why Americans cannot follow along with this. And again, it's like, it's simpler, it tastes better. I think eggs, I don't really get to see, like, I think some people really do taste the difference between like an organic egg or one egg that's like super fresh, like from the chicken that just gave me an egg this morning and now I'm cooking it. That it tastes very different from the ones that you get like at a supermarket. I personally, I don't think I've ever had like one of those like super fresh eggs of like, oh, it came from the chicken 2 hours ago. I don't think I've ever experienced that, but apparently like some people, the egg connoisseurs are like, no, you can definitely taste the difference. And obviously it's better. Like the one that's fresher, it's of course gonna be better. It's like, yes, again, you're not, I was gonna say maybe because it's the same with chicken, you're not eating it raw. But I do know some people eat raw eggs, not, maybe it's a little bit of like a psychopath behavior to just like crack open an egg and just, drink it. That's super disgusting. But, there are some people that do have them in their drinks, because there are some cocktails that do call for like a beaten, I don't know if it's an egg or the egg white, but I know there are some drinks. You can't really taste it. You can't taste the flavor of like because again, raw egg has a very particular flavor. And it's not just bad. It's just like you can taste it. Like, yes, it tastes like egg white. So, but those drinks do not taste like that. And but you're at the end of the day, you're eating them raw, right? So, I'd be a little, I don't know, what's the situation like for cocktails in the US? Like when the recipe calls for like, a beaten egg, do they have to like take it out and then you wash it? I know it's such a huge process to me that I'm like, go natural. And if something's a little bit dirty, as in like, it happens with like stuff, everything basically that we get to eat, like, I don't know, sometimes lettuce or like greens have like, I don't know, maybe they have a little bug in there, or your vegetable, like it's dirty, like your potato is a little bit dirty with soil. Yes, you just clean it. It's fine. Actually, I'm happy to say that I know me personally, I prefer, for instance, like a potato that still has dirt, or an egg that's still a little bit, like maybe has like a feather stuck on or maybe just like a little dirt, a little residue. I think I would prefer to have those kind of things, because again, it doesn't matter, it's fresher, it's organic, and it didn't went through like this huge process of making everything look perfect. And because obviously like they were showing the eggs and they look like so gorgeous, so perfect, they don't look real. Instead of like something that doesn't look real and it's perfect, I rather have the natural thing that maybe doesn't look that incredible and it has little like details, but I don't see them as something bad. It's like, no, it's better actually. It's coming straight from the ground, like from far to table basically. And I think that's better. So, if you ask me, I'm like, no, the USA should do the opposite. They should ban the washing of eggs, and they just like do it like the rest of the world, which again is crazy that they do things differently in such a specific way, as in like eggs, because it's like, what do you mean so different? But that was it for today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.